Okay. Hello, my name is Martin, and I saw still few hands that haven't used Taxify, so maybe we help a bit to explain what we do and why it might be worthwhile to try us out. So Taxify started back in 2013. As you might see, then taxis were not really as clean business as it is today. So the cars were quite shady, the quality was unknown. Most of the cars only took cash, they didn't take card payments and so on. So it was quite a difficult market when we started. And initially our idea was that we help taxi companies to use modern technology and become more efficient. But as we didn't know much about the industry, then we had a lot to learn, and we have changed our strategy several times over this 4.5 years. So, but let's take a step back and see what industry are we even exactly working on. So an average person is spending about 1 to 2 hours commuting every day to the work and back. And if you calculate that all over your lifetime, that's about 4 years. So that's not really an efficient time spent. So because especially if you're behind the wheel, then you can't do work or something like that. You just have to be thinking how to pass the next car or the crossword or something like that. So we think it's a waste of time and can be used better. So if we look at the industry size, it's big. So number one is housing, and number two is actually transport. And depending on the household budget, it's about 13 to 20% of the monthly budget that families are spending on transport. So it's, depending how well developed is the public transport, but usually it's significant. So if we take that all together, it's trillions of euros or dollars globally. So we think it's a big enough opportunity to make something better. Then, if we look at what's actually happening, so many people think that, okay, I use Taxify, and then probably that's many people do the same. That's true. But if we look at, let's say, the media coverage, then this ride-sharing industry have got a lot of media coverage in the last years. But if we actually look the fraction of the urban transport, how big part we actually take, it's just tiny, 2% for now. And what that actually means, it's, as you can see, it's roughly 50-50 split between the public transport and then private cars. And how it's calculated, it's roughly so that every person is doing about 50 trips per month. That's about 20 days work and back, and about 10 trips additionally around the city. So, and if we look at Riga, it's about 700,000 people. So that also means that calculating this 2%, it's about the same, 700,000 rides per month is currently on demand. But we see that it's a lot of opportunities actually to grow that share much bigger. And we estimate that within 10 years, this share could also grow about roughly 10 times. Of course, it's difficult to estimate, but range-wise, if that kind of growth happens, it's really, really interesting business, and lots of funding and opportunities are happening here. So, and why we think this growth will happen, it's 3 main factors. First is ride sharing. So currently taxis are mostly like a profession, so a limited amount of people do it, and it's their full-time job. So if we start from Baltics, Baltic states have now adopted the ride-sharing law, so everyone can become a driver and offer rides. So that significantly would grow the number of rides overall, and it also, as the competition grows, the ride prices will be competitive and more affordable. And if prices are lower, more people can allow that service to themselves, and the whole market grows. So the first part is ride sharing. Second is pooling. That means that we start putting multiple people in the same car, and again, the price will drop because the the total costs are the same, but if two or three people split the costs, it can be, again, 30, 40, 50% cheaper. Again, more people can afford that, and the market grows. And the last bit is self-driving cars. So when they come, currently 70% of the cost is the salary of the driver. And if that bit can be also removed, again, the service will be cheaper. So in the end, clearly, on-demand transport can be cheaper than owning your private car. So currently, many people think that owning my private car is cheaper than using the Taxify service. But if you calculate all the costs, leasing, repair, parking costs, and all of that, and plus the hassle you spend driving, not working, if you take all these things in account, then we see that clearly the on-demand platforms can grow and then will grow a lot in the market share. So yeah, that's our view, why it's also a really, really interesting business to be in. So where we are today as Taxify. So we are in about 40 cities in 23 countries. And we just recently reached 5 million signups or riders. And that's growing in a quite fast pace. And if you look at the global map, then we started from the Baltics, Eastern Europe, then moved to Africa, and now recently also launched in Mexico, in Central Europe, in Lisbon, in Paris, and also Australia. And we have done that quite remotely, so we have many countries that we actually haven't been ourselves. So we have quite unique expansion model. We do market research over the internet. Then we put up job advertisements. If we see that the market is attractive, people apply. And the same people who apply, they do market research as their home assignment, so that we get additionally more and more information. And the better guys doing better research, they probably know the market better, they are more entrepreneurial, and then we hire them to set up the business there. And that's how we have been expanded, and with really, really limited funding as well. If we look at, unfortunately, the numbers are down here, but it starts 2013 and goes up to now. So as you can see, then the growth has been accelerating a lot, and we're growing about 15 to 30% month on month. So, and it has been already like that for the past 1.5 years. So talking to investors, they say that that's quite amazing growth speed, and so far we have been able to keep it. So, we have over 100,000 active drivers on our platform, and the team today is getting close to 450 people, so we're hiring tens of people per month at the moment as well. So in September, we still had 200 people, so now we are close to 450. So that means in the last few months, we have doubled the team globally. If we look at the industry, why the industry is interesting, or actually if you think of the new business, which industry to pick, then if you really want to build a large company that will be global, then pick an industry that's really big. As I explained previously, then transport is number 2 spending overall. But if we look how much funding our industry players have received, then that's huge. No other technology industry have received that kind of funding before. So down here we have Facebook and Google, the top companies currently globally, and before they actually made an IPO and went public, then Facebook raised about 2 billion and Google raised only 20 million. So those are really, really tiny amounts compared to the tens of billions that the ride-sharing companies have been raising. And why is that? It's because it's just really interesting industry. As I explained, it's in a huge transition in the next 10 years. And the interests are multiple. So there are financial investors that are investing, but there are also automakers. And if automakers actually realize that in 10 years, most of the cars will be used through on-demand platforms, the question is, if you take a bus, do you know what brand the bus is? Most people don't know, and they don't care as well. And the same will probably happen with the cars. So that if you order a car through the platform, you just need to know that it's clean, it doesn't smell, and it works fine. But what's the brand? It doesn't matter. And the car makers have understood that today they compete a lot on the branding, but in the future, the brand value would go down. And if they are left out from these platforms who actually choose which cars we will buy, then they will be in big trouble. And that's why lots of the automakers have been investing millions and billions into the apps to being part of that future wave. And yeah, if you look at Taxify funding, then it's really, really tiny compared to all the other competitors. And why is that? On one way, initially, we were not growing as fast as we wanted. You saw the growth was slow, and it was difficult to raise funding. And during that time, we had to adopt and then come up with a really efficient company operations and expansion model, and that's what I explained. We do it remotely. And all of these kind of factors have enabled us to be the most efficient company in the industry. So compared to the other companies here, we are doing a little bit less rides than they do, but we have raised hundreds of times less funding. So that means that every dollar we have raised, we have got 10 or 15 or 25 times more rides and outcome from every single dollar. So it's tens of times more efficient than any other competitors. The same topic, so that how we are lean and maybe what's our competitive advantage as well. So if we take an example of a 10 euro taxi ride, so how is it split if we look at Taxify and the competitors? So we usually charge a commission in the range of 12 to 15%, and our competitors are charging from 20 to 25, sometimes 30%. And we think that that's a bit greedy to charge that much. That leaves much less money for the drivers and less win for the riders as well. So if we look at our case, then charging 15%, we have about 10% difference to the competitors. And then we split that 10%. 5% goes to the drivers. They make more money on each ride. And 5% is given to the riders. That means that every ride is cheaper than the competition. So both sides are really, really happy. And how we can actually do it, that means that from the start, our company cost level have been built in a way to be very lean. And compared to our competitors, they have hired very expensive management. They have hired very expensive consultants. They have done a lot of things that put up their cost range. And currently, we can be profitable with these lower margins, and the competitors take higher margins, and they still make a big loss. So we feel that being very lean and cost efficient gives us a long-term sustainability and the possibility to win the market, because in marketplace, the margins are really, really important. So that's one of the learnings we have got over the years, and as a Baltic or Estonian company, this kind of lean mentality is really into our core, and that has been enabling us to be so efficient. Maybe another learnings we have got over the time is actually your product versus marketing and the value proposition. So when we also entered in Riga, initially we had pretty bad cars. We used old taxi companies and shitty drivers, and we spent hundreds of thousands in marketing, and the product didn't work. And then we realized that actually you should invest 90% of your effort and money in the product, and then the riders will come. And today, one of the main key measures we see is actually organic signups. So how much we have to invest in marketing and how much all the riders and drivers are joining our platform organically or basically via the friend referral. And the rate is about 70% for now. So that means that 70% of drivers and riders come themselves, and only 30% is paid. And this 30% is split between two parts. One is Facebook and Google ads, just install Taxify ad, and the other 15% is the friend referral promo codes. When you invite someone, you get a free ride and the friend gets a free ride. So that's the paid acquisition. And clearly, if we see that this organic is going below 70, then we don't invest more in marketing, but we need to look into the service. What exactly is wrong with the value proposition in that specific city? And try to figure it out and fix that. There is no point of investing more in marketing if your product actually sucks. So definitely, look at the value proposition and then make that right. And yeah, we also use different other analysis. So we collect a lot of data about different users. We see week by week if they join, when do they do the next ride. If they become non-active, then we have automation tools, but also the same thing, we need to understand why are they not active. Maybe competition is offering something better. We need to review and be competitive. And we also use NPS, which is a simple tool to ask just, would you recommend us to your friend? And that's a very good tool to get feedback from different users as well. So yeah, we have been working really hard, and when we went to the industry, me and my brother, we didn't know nothing about transport. I was in IT business before, so I knew a little bit about software, but not about that. So it gave us quite a good edge to actually do something different. When you're in the industry for 20 years, you basically know all the rules, but you might not be able to think outside of the box. And that has actually been helping us to innovate and be successful. And the other mindset is that if you also have less money, then you need to be more innovative. So that if many of our competitors, they had the luxury of owning billions and invest and do it all in a traditional way, but if you don't have billions and you still need to grow, then you need to be innovative. So those are the challenges that we have seen. And as I said, we changed our strategy 3 times over the 4 years. So initially, we tried to operate in the Baltics, help the taxi companies. Then quite quickly, we saw that model is not scaling. We couldn't get the drivers fast enough. Then we started expanding in Eastern Europe and with a 2 model, both taxis and the private drivers. But that model also didn't scale very fast enough. And the third model was that we fully focused on the private drivers, and we started picking global opportunities, not regional in Eastern Europe. And that's when the growth started, so that we expanded to Africa, European biggest cities, and now we think that we have found a model that actually works. But of course, we need to keep our eyes open. The market is developing really fast, and we can't just rely on that. Maybe we need to do some kind of change in business model again. But yeah, it has been lots of learning, trying, and innovating to actually get here where we are today. And I think our fresh look in the transport industry has helped a lot, because if you look at all the traditional taxi companies, their managers are not looking into business as we do. So we do it totally opposite to them. And yeah, I think the main challenge for the growth company is actually talent. And I think our business model is working very well today. And the biggest growth trigger is getting the right people on board. So as I said, we have doubled the team in the last 4 months, and we still plan to probably double it again during this year. So we have tens, or I think it's about 50 plus job opportunities at the moment, what we are hiring in different countries. And we have also acquired talent from the different top companies in Estonia, like TransferWise, or we have people from Uber that actually don't like the company culture, or they don't see career opportunities because the company is already too big. So we try to get all these best talent who know the industry and who are willing to work well, and then they join us. So check also our job ads. And today, as I explained, then the opportunity is really, really big in transport. And if you look at overall the technology companies globally, then most of them, or actually almost all of them, come from US. So we have a small dream to actually build the biggest European tech company and compete with the big US internet brands. And as the industry is really big and gives us the opportunity, if we keep doing things right, then we have the chance to do that. And we really want to prove that it's possible to build big companies out of Baltics and actually out of Europe as well. So, and that dream also helps us to attract the talent, because today people are not that much about the salary, but it's more about the ambition and the mission of the company. So helping hundreds of thousands of drivers to earn money, or millions of riders to commute much more efficiently and save time. So those are the things how we feel we can make the world better and give a big impact. So thanks. That was from my side. So I don't know, how is our timing? Can I take a few questions or no? Okay. So ping me around. I'm here today. If you have questions, then let's talk. And thanks for your time and good luck. Be ambitious.